Today is the start of our family vacation. More than 40 people.
Say what?
I'm Evie Bear Carroll, and I'm here with Lawson Bates, a part of the Bates family. You got 19 people in your family, and then how many other kids?
The whole mob. I'm telling you, it's crazy. There's 19 of us siblings, and then I think, I would say don't quote me because it's changing. It seems like every minute. 14 grandkids now. So my parents have their hands full between like 10 kids still at the house and then all the grandkids, but they're living their best life. So, and we all are. So a lot of action happening.
How old is the youngest?
My youngest brother is 8 years old. So,
okay.
And then the oldest grandchild is 5. So there's not really a big gap between those. They all like are playing together all the time and having the best times. But the youngest grandchild is really new, like a few months old.
I'm not going to ask you all the birth dates because like I can't even remember all the birth dates of my siblings. So I'm not going to ask you all the birth dates. Do you know some of them though?
I used to know them all, honestly, like 15 birthdays or so. So like the oldest December 31st, the second one January 23rd, my sister May 2nd, July 27th, my brother August 29th, December 19th is one, I think, November 9th. Then there's 4 birthdays on 2 days. So February 1st, there's 2 birthdays on the same day, but no twins in the family. So I always thought it'd be cool to have like a twin or have twins in the family, but it never happens. You'd think out of 19, if you said a twin somewhere, but there's not. So
yeah. My brother, my oldest brother, he has 8 kids, and they're doing the same kind of thing where they're just, it's up to God. And so they have a set of twins, and they're, pregnant with the 8th. And so we'll see how many more after that. I don't know.
So exciting. So exciting.
Yeah. So how have you guys been during quarantine? Have you guys as a family gotten to get together? Or, I know that joke, it's like your family's too big for the quarantine.
Yeah, it's unique times for everybody, and I hope everybody, whoever's watching, is staying safe and being careful, especially those who may have other health conditions that could put them kind of at a higher risk. So it's been unique for everybody. We're in the state of Tennessee, and each governor kind of has different guidelines, and then paying attention to the CDC and what everything is, just trying to be careful, trying to be safe. And it's been weird because a lot of my siblings that are married that we would see all the time, not seeing them as much, they're kind of all staying in their thing. Tennessee is kind of opening back up now to some degree, which most states are, but still trying to make sure that even while they open up, that you do it as cautiously as possible. And I think the most important thing that everybody's trying to emphasize is washing your hands, not touching your face, not trying to come like in close proximity with strangers and stuff. So yeah, but it's been unique for everybody. Some jobs, some of my siblings at work, it affected that, of course. And for myself, being in music, concerts were canceled and stuff like that. So everybody's adjusting differently. We're all holding up.
So have you been able to practice your music, or do you write your own lyrics and everything? Have you been able to do that?
Yes. So when I first went to Nashville, my producers kind of told me the most important thing, like if you really want to develop your craft, it all starts with writing. So I was blessed to be able to do a lot of co-writes, hundreds and hundreds of co-writes with great writers in Nashville. And you just work on trying to be better, like pushing your boundaries and growing as an artist and as a writer. And that's something I would do every week. Life's all over the place. Even before here, I get to travel overseas and do a lot of things, and we do a lot of family things. And you see some of that on the TV show, and it's always constantly changing. But yeah, I love writing, and in normal times, I would be in Nashville doing co-writes every week right now. But kind of because of the lull, I've been able to get some other things done, little side projects and stuff.
So yeah, I was watching the trailer for your season. You guys are on season 10, is that right? Of Bringing Bates?
9 or 10. I can't believe it. Whatever it is, it's 9 or 10. Man, a lot is happening. And it seems so funny because every single new season, they're doing interviews and we're telling people, guys, this is the most exciting and dramatic time in our lives ever. And it sounds cliche, but honestly, it really is. When you look at just the sheer amount of things happening, whether it's relationships, new life, everything, so much is happening. So I feel like since season 1, when we first started with Up Television with this show, Bringing Up Bates, none of us had a clue like where this is going to go or what it's going to be. And I think one of the reasons that it's been so fun and we've been able to keep doing it is because the crew we work with, all the folks at Up TV, are literally the greatest people to work with anywhere. They adapt with what you're doing. Obviously, with a lot of little kids, different families now, there's a lot of variables. So there's a lot of people you got to try to make happy and keep the train rolling. But they're just great to work with. And so, yeah, we're kind of just taking it all as it comes. But it's season 10, if that's it. A lot has been filmed. I think it's season 10. You're right.
Yeah, I can't imagine because, producers probably, it's a lot of logistics of trying to figure out, because essentially you guys are like maybe 30, almost 30 people now. So it's like trying to figure out the schedules and
more than 30 people. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys do when you're going? Yeah.
There's kind of multiple calendars and a lot of group text. So now, especially with this, like, no one could have predicted globally the impact that this has had on everybody, from jobs to just everything, health. And so everybody's just doing the best they can with the information they have. But for the show, for example, it not being under like important things, of course, the producers and stuff can't come around. But is what they've been doing is it's kind of been a learning process. And this is a really unique aspect. But they're kind of telling us all, okay, you're doing this. This is what you're doing. Get some footage on your iPhone. And then they're going back and putting that into new episodes so everything can continue to air when it needs to. And our producer is Skyping in the interviews. So reality television is like 50% what you're doing and then 50% talking about it. So on the red couch for Bringing Up Bates. And so we schedule our interviews. Everything comes over the group text. This is what's happening, and this is what you're supposed to be getting on your iPhone. So it's unique what we're learning. I guess we're becoming semi-producers, but we'll never be as good as the rest of the folks when they are finally able to get back on shift.
Yeah, you're like, can I get camera credit here as a cameraman? Because I'm doing this work too.
I know. That'd be cool. If any of those guys are watching, then she said it. Where's the credit?
So it looks like this season, which actually I think it just started April 23rd or something. It looks like they kind of feature you a lot with your music and traveling. That's pretty exciting. So talk about that a little bit.
Oh, there's so much happening. So in my personal life and then what's covered on the show. So there's the new arrival of my little niece, Willow. My sister, Josie, got married. A lot of people saw that on previous episodes of Bringing Up Bates. And then they saw Carlin's wedding. So much fun happened at all those. But for me, I've been doing a lot of overseas travel. And it'll touch on that in some of the episodes for charity work. And also working kind of in the middle of a new album. So I have the full album recorded, but we are going to be staggering how we release the new stuff, because it's hard to balance. Like, you want to get new content out there, but at the same time you want to tour with it, and you can't tour right now. So, and we don't know when this is going to change. So I do have something that's going to be releasing in just a few weeks that's part of that album, but not the full album. So that's happening. And, travel. I also recently finished up my pilot's license because I have a brother who's an instructor. And so that was kind of something cool during all of this crazy, that I could get knocked out because I had a little free time. So
yeah,
that's so much happening.
So fun. Now I was watching some really, really early episodes, even the ones that were not on Up TV, even though the Up TV is wonderful.
Way back.
And your family performed. When did you find out that that's what you wanted your career to be singing and stuff? Because I saw, maybe it was like the second episode you guys did, maybe 10 years, more than 10 years ago or something.
I think for me, like they always say, everybody's path in Nashville or in music is different. It was something that I didn't know right away. It kind of developed because they say your passion is up here, but then your talent may be here, and you're trying to find that point where those learning curve and talent ability cross. So I went to Nashville. I was blessed with great friends in the industry. I was always passionate about music, grew up. My parents had a big emphasis and influence on that and wanted me to learn piano, music theory. I love bluegrass music, country music, gospel music, classic stuff like Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, pretty much a broad scope, but it was always a big part of my life. I was passionate about it. I never really thought this is something I could have the talent to do as a career. But I think I was about 18 and my mom was like, hey, you need to, go talk to some of your connections that you have in Nashville and record some of these songs. And I didn't have a clue about Nashville, but I was blessed to know a really great Christian guy and producer named Andy Leftwich. So he's the fiddle player for Ricky Skaggs and just a phenomenal talent, just a great guy. And I went there and made one project. When we released the project, it was more kind of like a novice thing, like we'll see how this does. And when it came out, it did better. I had zero expectations. It did better than I had hoped. And I started talking to my parents, my other people that kind of influence my decisions and try to coach me and help me. And they said, if you really, really think this is where God's leading you as a career and you want to take it seriously, then you want to find out how you can compete with the mainstream and just be the best version that you're made to be. So where that starts is writing. So they said, you need to come to Nashville and write with people that are better than you, that push you, that help you develop as an artist. So I went to Nashville, green as they come, not knowing really anything, and made a lot of great friends and connections. And for 3 years, I kind of just worked on writing and came out with my first country album. And that was called What's Country Means to Me. And I've just been doing it ever since. So it wasn't something that I said, oh, this is what I'm always going to do, or this is what I was born to do. It's just something I was passionate about. And I feel like I've been blessed to walk through the doors God's opened, and still a long way to go, still learning and just seeing what happens.
So is it emotional when you're writing the lyrics? Is it something that you really feel deeply about, or it takes you a lot of time, or sometimes maybe you just write them and they all flow, or what's the deal there?
Everyone's different. I think it's like projects, because when I first started doing co-writes, I thought you just come in there, it's complete strangers a lot of times. And so that's very intimidating. And then you're sharing like your deepest emotions, how you feel about something, whether it's something from faith, whether it's failure, whether it's love, whatever you're writing about. Country music is so broad. It's just life stories. And I think the key to any artistry is emotional connection. That's why it bridges so many different cultures and so many different spaces. And so finding a way to do that is always the key. But sometimes I'll sit down and write songs in 3 hours and it's done. And it ends up selling great and being great for me. And then sometimes I'll write a song and not touch it for a year, come back to it and finish it up. So it all just depends. But I do feel like my best writing has been something I'm going through personally in the moment, because it's the most raw to you. It's the most real to you. And that usually translates into the lyrics.
Okay, I'm going to veer for a little second because I'm thinking about, you're mentioning your parents a lot the last answer, and your parents are amazing. The fact that they had 19 kids and they steered you guys in faith. I want you to kind of talk to us about, your faith and how they helped you with your faith, and then when you became more personal with your faith.
Yeah, so my parents, honestly, if you ever meet them or see them in public, go say hey to them. They are the kindest, most genuine people, I think, in the world. I'm biased, of course, but at the same time, they really did everything to try to give us kids the best chance possible at whatever we were pursuing, encouraging us and just being there for us, and so many people come from different backgrounds in different family situations. And I feel extremely blessed to have had both of them in my life. And faith was always a big emphasis in my home growing up. But one thing my parents encouraged us, they said, your faith has to be something personal. It has to be something that is yours. We can't just give you our faith and you say, oh, this is what my parents are, this is what you are. You need to find that path on your own. You know, you need to let God direct and lead you there. So although they're very supportive, they're always pushing us to try to do things on our own, learn on our own, and grow on our own. But they're there to answer questions and kind of steer the way if we're in something that we don't understand. So for me, I think sometimes it's almost harder in some ways to grow up in a really good environment and then build that faith of your own, because you're in this great scenario and you got to find out, like, how can I have my personal relationship with God? And for me, I became a Christian when I was 11. So some people say that's too young, that's too old, whatever. I think that in life, you know, we're all at different places, but each of us, you know, when God's prompting us, whether it's, you know, about our faith personally, that we just need to follow that prompting. So I became a Christian at 11. It's the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, I love that. And now you can write it in your lyrics, and you can,
That's true.
you know, show it in the TV show and everything. And I think one of the nice things about bringing up Bates is it's an encouraging show. You guys are always really positive. And I really think that that's a good example of family for people to see. So as the audience sees it. So I love that.
I hope so. When we first started working with Up, that was honestly one of the biggest factors that we loved about what they do. Their goal with television is put out positive, uplifting shows that the whole family can watch and be happy about. And what more could you want? You know, if you have kids or family, you want them to be seeing things that's going to make them a better person. So they carry that mentality into their work environment as well. So at the production of the show, it's always try to focus on the positive. And that's what my family has really tried to be all about. So I think that's one of the reasons it's been a great fit so far. Focus on the positive. There's a lot of negative in the world, a lot of bad things we could talk about, but somebody's got to put something positive out there and try to spread a little love.
But is it a little difficult to always have cameras on you, or you just totally, I mean, it's been years and years, so you're probably totally used to it.
When we first started doing it pretty regularly, it was a huge factor. You just get freaked out. You can't talk. Somebody puts a camera in your face, you freeze up. You turn into a 5-year-old. You can't form a sentence. But I do feel like after doing it so long, you forget that you're talking to millions of people because you're working with crew that you've seen every day for years. So just like any other workplace environment, you're doing your life and you've just kind of become accustomed to it. Now, every now and then when I'll be in a hotel or something, flipping channels, and I'll see the show, it freaks me out a little bit. But when we're filming it, honestly, I don't think it's even a factor, which is funny sometimes and not so funny with my little siblings, because a lot of them were practically born on television and they've been doing it their whole life. So they don't realize they're 8 years old. They're talking to millions of people around the world. They're not talking just to one person. So sometimes I'm like, guys, you need to be a little more aware, not less aware.
You need to be a little bit more discreet on what you're saying or something.
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a very silly question, and you have to bear with me, or you can totally ignore it. But if you Google your photo, like if you Google just your name and you look you up, it's all like up? Lawson's dating this person. He's interested in this person. Maybe with this girl. What's the truth? I mean, is there a lady? Is there?
Man.
What's going on?
Sometimes my sisters or somebody or my mom will send me something and say, "Is this true?" And I'm like, "You're my mom. You would have known if that was true." She's like, "I never see you. You're always gone." I said, "Mom, you'll be the first to know." So I will say this. Being on reality TV, I think our show really just covers everything: the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and downs. So you'll see whatever happens on the show. But
That's funny.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. Sometimes I read them and I think that could be plausible, and then sometimes I'm like, that's way out there. No way. No way.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And, we're telling audiences to look out for the show coming. The season's out right now. And also your
every
music.
Thursday. There's a new episode this Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
It wasn't as much candy. There were these little tiny babies.
Naked little tiny baby.
Now we have Whitney, Aaron, and now Harlan's expecting.
Bringing up Bates.